I'd like to welcome you to the September 12th, 2022 regular meeting of the Leonard Village Council. You can tell things are kind of winding down for summer and schools are back in session, so I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about as the rest of the year progresses. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a brief invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you mind, Jennifer? You got it. Okay.
Okay. Dear God, we ask for your guidance today that we make the right decisions for the village of Leonard and for all of its residents. Please look upon us and help guide us in the right way. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well said. Okay. Can we have a roll call for attendance of the village council?
President McDonald.
Here.
Trustee Kennedy.
Here.
Trustee Arundel.
Here.
Trustee Swack. Here. Trustee Hawkins.
Here. And we'll note for the record that Clerk Lori Zelenak and Treasurer Judy Burse are present. Council has received the minutes of the August 8th regular meeting. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections to those minutes? If none, a motion to approve them would be in order.
I'd like to motion that we approve the minutes from August 8th.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Did you get that? All right. All those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of August 8th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay. The motion carried.
We just got both the same agendas, no minutes.
Oh,
I wonder if the other side has all minutes, no agendas.
Minutes, I know.
This is
Are those all agendas? A lot of agendas. Okay.
Got financial statement.
Oh, all right.
No minutes.
okay, we'll remedy that next
Yep.
time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
All right. Council has received an agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions? Decorating committee
Yeah.
would like to add.
Yeah, for number 6, the decorating would like to talk about and confirm Halloween and the time, and then also funds to decorate for the fall. And then also, if you want to make it number 7, we want to discuss the Christmas tree lighting and have that.
I think we can do that under number 6. Are there any other changes? Hearing none, is there a motion then to approve the agenda as amended?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
I'd like to second that.
Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, including the amended item, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, motion carried. Council received the treasurer's report for the month of August. Are there any questions on that?
Just for, it's under accounts payable.
What was that, Alex?
I was just gonna ask, Elon City that's where we purchased the speed sign?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's the accounts payable?
Yeah, it's under accounts payable, that's what I was saying, but.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's refer to the treasurer's report,
Yes, sir.
and we'll move on to that next. Is there a motion to approve, receive and file the approved treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to receive and file the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call on that, please, Lori?
Sure. Hawkins?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
Airedale? Yes. Kennedy?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes. Okay, the report is filed. Next item on our agenda is the accounts payable for August. Are there any questions, changes, or corrections?
Yeah, I guess, just to make sure, Elon City was where we purchased the speed signs from?
Yes, that is, they were delivered, correct.
And then, on 8/4 Sunrise Services, that's who's cutting the grass?
Yeah, that's for the nature park.
Okay, sorry, the only reason I question it
No,
is
it's-
Sunrise Management, it's
That's the
very similar.
sanitation, right.
So I was just,
Yeah.
it caught me off guard.
I have to really watch that when I write out checks.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, thank you.
No. That's the trustee's job, is to ask questions about our expenses, so don't ever hesitate. Okay, if there are no questions, or is there a motion to pay the bills for the month of August? In the amounts stipulated?
I'd like to make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $26,902.71 for general, major $23.96, local 0, and Mill Park Recreation $1,884.75.
Support that.
John? Thank you. Okay, can we have a roll call for approval of the bills for August of 2022?
Sure. Swack?
Yes.
Airedale?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. We'll move on now to public comment. Some of you've been here regularly and others haven't. The council did adopt some rules for making public comment. We ask that you be brief and to the point, that you allow other people to have a turn before you can ask for recognition if you have a further statement, at which point the village council will grant or not grant you that opportunity. And then we'd appreciate if you would address the village council chairperson, myself, and there is no requirement that the council produce an answer to your question immediately, but it will be produced in a timely manner after the meeting if necessary. Okay, anybody like to address the village council? Yes, Mrs. McKenna.
The toilets that are on Forest Street,
Yes, yes.
tipped over, the stuffed animals that sit on them are rotting, and there's now a pile of steel there, and it's just unsightly for the people who cross the street and come right out of it's right out their front windows, their front yard. I think that we should cite that for blight.
Well, thank you. I will follow up on it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Yes.
I got a comment from the girl across the street. She's having trouble getting out of the alley because can't see anything. It needs to be cut back again, she said.
Okay.
Julie. I told her I would tell them.
All right. Anybody else?
Does it have to be on here?
Pardon me?
Does it have to be on here if I ask a question or Paul asks a question?
No. No, if it is on there, you will have an opportunity to talk to it, or speak to it.
Are you gonna answer or you want me to?
If it's about we're going to do a marijuana ballot update? If
That's not it.
Oh, okay.
No, we were talking in the past about this church property.
Do you know anything?
rumors that are going around.
The, I will respond with what I am sure I know, and that is that the property was sold by the Archdiocese, that it was purchased by another party who has in turn sold it. We don't really know the mechanism, if it was a straight out sale or a land contract or whatever, but it is owned by a private party now that do not live in the area. My understanding is they're going to continue to farm it. Whether that means John will be doing it or somebody else, I don't know.
John is not farming it. He has confirmed that with me.
Oh, has he? Okay.
John's not farming it.
Yeah.
He's not?
No. So the only thing I know is the other person that is farming it lives down to Quinder Way. I can't tell you where. I don't remember exactly what John said to me.
Okay, in that regard, because it's scaring me, we have heard, and I know the party, that they're gonna open it up to hunting. Now, is there any kind of law or ordinances that you have to be so far away from the houses or not even in the village hunting?
The village has no ordinances or regulations for hunting. In other words, the people can hunt. The only regulation that covers the village is the DNR regulations that require that there be no discharge of a firearm within 450 feet of an occupied structure. And by occupied structure, that could well mean a barn, because it's a place where people would possibly be. So that's, to my knowledge, that's all the regulation that we have.
Well, I'm happy about that,
Okay, good.
because, I mean, there are clearing spots right back there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of putting their feet in lots, and I'm thinking, man, they can't hunt back there. There's too many little kids along there.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but change happens. And we'll just have
Who
to...
do we go to if they start firing within 450 feet? You guys?
You would, no, call the police. You're entitled to contact...
Live there.
You can contact the sheriff's department with time of day, noise, or proximity.
Will you hear anything about that, do you think? I mean, do they have to let you know that that's what it's going to be used for?
A person can privately hunt their own property. If they're a business, then they would have to be operated as a business, and it would have to be zoned properly, which it is not zoned for business at this time.
Because I heard they were going to rent it.
Well,
You know, and that's all hearsay, that's why we're
right,
asking.
right. Yeah,
See
no,
if
that's,
you know anything about it.
no, I had not heard that.
Can't you, your property, you can give people permission to hunt on it.
Right. You
As long
can't,
as it's not 450 feet.
yeah.
Yeah, it still has
But, you know, who's going to police that? Because my guess is somebody's going to be out there with them.
Well, I'm just saying, if there is.
No, I know,
they
I
can-
understand.
They can hunt.
Well, you can go online and look at the property from the air and see what the dimensions are around the property and the distances from the homes to the property lines, and especially, particularly on the west side of that property, there'd be a pretty good stretch of buffer, so to speak. In the same way, south from the other houses, it would cut off a significant amount of property from where they should or shouldn't be discharging a firearm. Okay, anything else? All right, we'll move on then to new business. Allow me to welcome the Oxford Cable TV manager, Terry Stiles. She approached us just before our last meeting and wanted to have an opportunity to speak to us, but we had quite a bit going on at that time, which fortunately has been resolved to a large degree. So Terry, feel free to speak away.
Okay, so I've been the manager for the last year, but I have been at OCTV one form or another for 24 years. I'm going to give you a little history of how OCTV came to be. In '86, when the big cable companies came around, the FCC decided that local communities would lose the opportunity to find out what's going on in their community. That they'd have to depend on stations like in Detroit to come up here and tell you what's going on. So they mandated the cable companies charge a franchise fee and a peg fee to each consumer, and then that gets moved on to whatever community has a television station, and the communities that don't, they are allowed to keep those franchise fees, and so are the communities that do have a television station, to maintain the easement rights of way. The PEG fees go directly to a television station. If you don't have one, like I know here, you have to have a broadband to be able to communicate with your community. And that's what the PEG, the PEG fees are, public, educational, and government. So having said that, our responsibility to every community is to cover what's going on in the community. Events, school events, community events. So in the 24 years that I've worked here, I've seen very few times that management has come to the communities that fund us and let them know what's going on. They certainly can turn on your TV if you have Spectrum or AT&T, and now we have 7 platforms that we're able to broadcast on, given the internet. So you can see what we're doing, but I just I'm sure, Mike, you gave everybody the paperwork that I gave you, so I'm not going to reiterate it.
I forwarded it
to everybody. So I'm going to touch on some of that stuff that you guys got. In a year, we cover 53 events per month, which includes transparency for you all. For each community, we cover, here we cover your council meetings as well as your planning commission. The other 3 communities, we cover the same. And then in the village of Oxford, we do DBA. So you're able to see what's going on in your surrounding communities as well as this one. We also cover all sports that's happening. You have 371 students in your community. I know they don't all go to Oxford. I understand some go to Romeo. But somewhere along their life we've given the parents a living history of what they've done. Whether it's a concert from kindergarten all the way up, we cover sporting events, academic events, arts. We even help kids get scholarships. We provide videos for them to do academic as well as sporting scholarships. In the past, we even helped a woman win her PhD with a video. But she came to us and asked us to help produce it, which we did. In your community, I just want to let you know a few things that we've done that we have in the past and will continue to do. We've covered that grassroots movement for NODA, for them to bring NODA back into this community. We've covered businesses, Pollyant Trail events, the mill. Several years ago, we were, I think, trying to get funds from the Rochester Historical Society, so we provided video for that. And then recently, the HGTV Hometown Takeover, we were able to come out here, and we do this with pleasure. We're thrilled when you ask us to come out here and do things. We've covered road construction. We have a program called My Life, and we've covered all of the Vietnam veterans in both communities, as well as the Korean War. We got a couple World War II several years back. We're moving on through the veterans, and if you don't know of anybody that's been in the community for a long time, we would love to do their life story. And that's a living legacy for not only their family, but if you guys have any kind of archives here, and the archives, the National Archives in Washington, D.C. is considering putting that entire series in their archives because we were able to do so many veterans. let's see, so you can find us on Roku. These are all downloads, so I hear a lot of times people say, well, we're not going to Spectrum anymore, or AT&T. Well, we have all these download apps, Roku and Fire Stick and Rumble. We do live streaming. If you want us to live stream any event out here, you were talking about your Halloween events and your Christmas events.
Yes.
Let us know. We have the equipment now to be able to live stream. We can do any promotion. We promoted the Strawberry Festival for 2.5, I think 3 weeks before the festival. Hopefully that helped bring people in. But that's what we're here for, and that's what we've been doing. We get up to 28,000 views per month, and that's this community as well as the Oxford community, based on the YouTube numbers and Facebook numbers that we see. Then we average that out with our other platforms. Spectrum and AT&T will never give us numbers. We'll never be able to find out what those numbers are because that's giving your competition. So for 20 years I've been calling them just to try to get numbers and prove to people, and they still tell me the same thing. Nope, can't have them. And they won't talk to me anyhow because we're not in contract with them. It's your community that's in contract with them. Oh, and one more thing. So it looks like we're sitting on a big nest egg of money, and we're really not. That basically is our general fund. It's never been included for some reason in our budget. I'm working on our budget for 2023. I got permission from my board just recently to include that as our general fund transparency so people can see what that money is, and it's moving. It's a fluid set of money. Every month we take 30,000 or whatever for our bills out. So I want everybody to know that, and I'm not here to ask for more money. I understand that you're all in a situation that you're needing those funds. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully I give you the information that some of you might not know about OCTV.
They play
Thank you.
old movies.
Would you say old movies?
Yeah.
She loves them. This is Connie. She does our programming at the station, and she also used to do Connie's Kitchen, and you all know that, I'm sure.
Lydia's Kitchen replaced Connie's Kitchen. And now I'm producing Lydia's Kitchen. She's doing really well.
And so most of I know we got a copy of our programming schedule as well. There's very few programs on that schedule that we don't produce. There's Michigan Magazine and Michigan Out of Doors, and then the church programs, they are produced by the churches. The rest, the yoga class, which is done right out here, that's one of our most popular viewed shows, and it's done right here in Leonard. Any questions?
Well said. Thank you very much,
Thank
Terry,
you.
for coming and bringing it to us rather than us having to go to you to find out. So, well, I understand, but we appreciate it. On behalf of the council, allow me to thank you both for attending. Appreciate it.
Can I just make a quick comment on what Terry said? Also, there's a lot of what goes on at the studio is volunteer driven. I never took a salary for 86 episodes of my award-winning Connie's Kitchen. I'm producing as a volunteer, and Lydia is appearing as a volunteer. We have a lot of that. There's a lot of opportunity for that. It's a fun thing to do, and we love the original program.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come down or if they're interested in television programming, they want to volunteer to be on TV, we've had a couple of them here. We have one program that we read to students, and we had a couple of volunteers here in Leonard that did that for us. Just give us a call.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item of business is just an update for the council and the public that the village's application for the Oakland County Infrastructure Grant was approved in the amount of $11,500. That will be applied towards our sewer study / clean water activities for the village as those evolve. We still haven't completed the sewer study. We'll touch on that later. Also of interest under new business is the Smart Nota. We received our annual credits from Smart, and by contract, we are required to transfer those to Nota. So I'm asking for a motion from the council to authorize that transfer of that money to of that credits from Village of Leonard to Nota.
I'd like to make a motion that we transfer the credits from Village of Leonard to Nota.
Support that.
Thank you. Are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, better have a roll call on that, please.
Okay. Arundel?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Council has before it two ordinances to consider this evening. The first of which is a dangerous dog ordinance. Allow me for background purpose, the village adopted a pit bull ordinance back in the late 80s, early 90s, and since that time, laws and public opinion have changed about pit bulls. So in order to make this a more representative ordinance, the village attorneys went through the pit bull ordinance and basically used that as a basis for drafting the ordinance you see before you. We do not refer to specific dog breeds in this ordinance. We're just trying to regulate all dogs, dangerous animals, uniformly. So that said, are there any questions from the council or changes from the council that we need to discuss before we consider this for adoption?
Yeah, I do have one quick question. In section 10.4, it says a person shall not abuse, mistreat, torment, or treat any animal. Is that supposed to be mistreat?
Good catch. If it wasn't, it is now. Is there any other?
I don't think so. I just happened to open it up and catch that.
The section 10.15, this is a combination. This ordinance combines what used to be a separate ordinance in our code of ordinances for exotic, rare, or dangerous animals. And without these in place, sometimes these types of animals are brought into communities. So the DNR generally checks, as long as it's a legal move, the DNR will call the village and say, do you have a exotic animals ordinance? And when we say yes, then we don't have to worry about somebody bringing, any one of those prohibited animals into the village. That includes wolves, wolf hybrids, raccoons, skunks, fighting birds, a lot of things that a lot of people find objectionable and just plain unsafe. So I wanted to bring that up too, so that we were all aware of it. Good evening. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll open it up to the village council first. Are there any further questions, changes, corrections? If none, what is the pleasure of the council?
Audience also?
Pardon?
Is there
Yeah, because we don't know what the ordinance, I don't know what you're looking at.
Okay.
Is it stating certain animals that are not to be here now, or they're allowing some of them, or?
Well, we don't specifically, the main effect of this ordinance this revised ordinance is it no longer applies strictly to pit bulls. It applies to any dangerous animal. And among those dangerous animals are some of the animals that I mentioned previously. So
I was gonna say, some of the animals, baboons, bears, cheetahs, constrictor snakes, coyotes, hyenas, jaguars, leopards, like the stuff that's really, really bizarre.
But hopefully somebody wouldn't have, but in this day and age.
well,
but they
without
get
the
'em,
ordinance in
yeah.
place, the DNR can grant people a permit for those animals.
Like an elephant, that's,
Well, I guess any animal. So if you have the exotic animal ordinance, then the DNR just says no to anybody that wants to have a permit to have one in the village of Leonard.
Okay, quick question. To enforce these ordinances, the public is supposed to notify you?
No,
I mean, how does that work?
it's just the same way that any ordinance works. If there's a complaint, it has to be addressed.
To the police?
Well, to the village council, but most likely the police, because there has to be some type of written official record or report that would have the details of the exact incident. Where, like with Jeremy Bell, when he was bit by pit bulls back in, when the original ordinance was adopted. So something like that usually triggers this kind of action. So, yes, there has to be some official documentation.
the police report is probably the most not unbiased.
Animal control and police are the two best
DNR or
resources.
somebody. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, it addresses removal of animal waste, maintaining sanitary, getting vaccinations, stuff that you'd expect. But you have to say it, otherwise people won't do it. Not poisoning other people's animals, keeping them a certain distance away, stuff like that. So that's...
Okay. What is the pleasure of the council?
I would like to motion that we adopt this with the one change under section 10.4, that where it says treat any animal, that we add mistreat any animal.
Very good.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second before the council to adopt the ordinance with the corrected word in section 10.4. That word being mistreat and not treat. Are there any questions on the motion? If none, roll call vote, please.
Kennedy?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
Arundel?
Yep.
Okay, motion carries, all in favor. Okay. The next item on the agenda is also a new ordinance that was requested by some of our residents some time ago, actually. The purpose of this ordinance is to amend Chapter 38 of our Code of Ordinances to regulate the use of engine or exhaust jake brakes within the village. The operation of engine brakes with the adoption of this ordinance would be considered a nuisance. The village finds that the operation of an engine brake, exhaust brake, compression release engine device, or similar devices on gasoline-powered or diesel-powered motor vehicles so as to create excessive noise through the use of said engine brake or exhaustive device adversely affects the public's health, safety, and welfare, and is a nuisance in fact. So they're technically prohibited unless it's an emergency. So in an emergency situation, a Jacob's brake could be employed. Of course, if it would, to be questioned, it would mean that a police officer would have to have been called and have witnessed or heard the offense. But the point is to we will be employing signage at the village boundaries to let people know that let commercial traffic, because it's generally commercial vehicles that employ these types of braking paraphernalia. So that's basically the function of the ordinance. And it seems to have become more than I've ever heard personally. And I only hear here on the North Forest Street coming south, some trucks will, I heard one actually this morning about 7:45. It didn't stay on very long, but I was outside and I saw it was a large truck and it was carrying a steel on it, so maybe he needed it. Maybe he wasn't going slow enough when he got to the top of the hill.
It was 35.
And anyway, that's why this was brought forward. So what is the pleasure or discussion of the village council? Anybody have any thoughts or comments on it?
When were we thinking about potentially putting up signage, and do we know what the signs will cost?
I will, as soon as this is approved, assuming it is, I will order the signs. You may have seen them for the village of Oxford.
Yeah, I was just curious if we were going to be budgeting for signs tonight as well, if we had a quote or anything.
No, I don't have a quote, but it, our usual source, the Michigan's, the prison production, Michigan's, I forget the name of it now, MSI, they didn't list this sign. The manager is looking into it to see if that's a possibility or not. They give you the best prices, but either way, we
I
would
do see a
have.
lot of license plates peeling though.
Pardon?
I see a lot of new plates peeling.
Yeah, almost all the new signs are adhesive signs. They don't paint them anymore. They're just a sticker. Okay.
I'd like to move forward that we adopt this new ordinance for Chapter 38 of the Code of Ordinances for the Village of Leonard to regulate the use of engine or exhaust Jake brakes within the village limits.
I'll second.
With the council's indulgence, does anybody have any comments on this before?
No, but I do have, I want to just say something to you. The yield sign, Division and Beza, it needs to be.
I got a new one. Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate it. Okay. We'll have a roll call then for approval of the amendment to Code Amendment Ordinance number 1.011 for the Village of Leonard.
Sure. Hawkins?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
Arundel?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes. Okay, the motion carries. Okay, the next item is the Decorating Committee. Trustee Swack, or Trustee Arundel, would you care to address that?
Yes, first we'll go over fall. I'm looking if we could get probably $150 to decorate for the fall, and that's replacing for the planters and everything outside is what I was looking for. We do have the village is going to be getting a pumpkin named Spooky. And it was cut out by our friends at Distinctive Design. Linda is currently painting it, and the decorating committee came up with a story behind Spooky that will be written on the back of him, and he will travel from house to house at night through the village. So a little something fun for the village and the kids and stuff. So he should be ready to make his debut October 1st. So hopefully he will travel throughout the village and we'll have a story of Spooky, the Halloween pumpkin, coming through. So speaking of that, next I'd like to talk about the hours that we want to do Halloween and then the closing of the street. so we can get that out for everybody to know that. And then I also have the Christmas. We need to talk about if we can, for the Christmas tree lighting. And that for the Christmas tree lighting, we still want to do the Christmas tree lighting. I have a food truck ready to come that evening, along with, I already have the Oxford Middle School Orchestra to come in here and play. And then we'll still do and move forward with the gingerbread house contest. And also trying to bring in some vendors for outside to sell Christmas crafts and their things for the event. So right now I'm looking at Sunday, December 4th. If we do it on that day, we're not competing with Oxford when they do their soup stroll and things like that they're doing there. So if not, maybe we do a Thursday night. I wanted the input of the council so I can kind of move forward with getting the rest of the vendors that I need.
Okay, thank you, council. Sounds like we have three things. Authorization of $150 for the fall decorations, and then setting the Halloween. Traditionally, we do it on Halloween, so October 31st, which is a Monday,
Right.
and we usually do it from 6 to 7 p.m.
Right.
Is that, anybody have any other thoughts on that?
No,
And the-
I just wanted it down so we can let the residents start to know.
And then on December 4th, which is a Sunday, we would authorize a street closure?
I would need a street closure, probably, I'm waiting for confirmation on Santa, since Santa's very busy, on what hours he may be able to show up for us here. So as soon as I have that, then I can commit on the hours per se for Sunday.
Is that our Leonard Santa?
We're hoping.
We're hoping, that's who I'm, so that's who I am trying to make sure that Santa is available, but he's very busy. He's already committed.
He's very much in demand. That's, yeah, he's so good, yeah.
Because it's Santa.
Yeah.
I know.
So anyways, so
Okay.
that's what we have so far.
So tentatively then, December 4th.
It would be a Sunday, which would be a little different from years past, because usually we always do it on a Friday. But since Santa's already committed, I was gonna try and shoot for like a Sunday.
Okay.
Is he already committed for that day though?
For the Sunday,
For that Sunday before?
he could be, that's why I was looking to go into the evening, because I also have to make it viable for the crafters, and also viable for the people who want to do the gingerbread house contest. So I would be open earlier that day for people to bring in their gingerbread houses like I was last year, and have them line up. So it would be, again, adults in the gingerbread house contest, and then we'd have a kid's gingerbread. And then inside here, we'll have the middle school orchestra will be playing Christmas holiday music.
I'm thinking like 4 to 6.
I'm thinking I'm open right now, but right now, yes, I'm thinking like...
Kind of aim for that.
I'm trying to aim from that 4 to 7.
Yeah.
And then that way, the food truck would be providing, she'll provide some food, like if you wanted like a dinner thing, and then hot chocolate and like pastries. So for everyone to be able to get their own items that they would like.
Is there a budget for Halloween or for December?
I don't have my budget yet for December.
Okay.
I'm very low on my budget for Halloween, so.
So I guess first things first, I'd like to make a motion that we approve $150 for the fall decorations, and then
I'd like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize the decorating committee to expense $150 for the fall decorations. Are there any questions on the motion? Can we have a roll call, please, for approval?
Arundel?
Yes.
Kennedy?
yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Swack?
Yes.
All right. I don't know that we need a motion tonight for the Christmas tree or Halloween, unless you prefer.
Now, are we gonna close the streets for Halloween? I mean, we need to put that in.
No, we don't usually close the street.
All right. No, just that we know that it'll be October 31st from 6 to 7. So we can put that out on our media.
Okay, so do we want to make that official?
I'd like to make a motion that we set the date for Halloween to be October 31st from 6 to 7 p.m. to the Village of Leonard.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to set Halloween for 2022 as October 31st from 6 to 7 p.m. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. All right.
Before we leave that, is there any interest in, maybe from the village even, of making this a Saturday thing instead of, next year it'll be Tuesday?
We make Halloween every year on Saturday.
Make it a, I mean, if there's, it now would be, I mean, I want to throw that out for 2023, obviously, not here, but somebody in the village had mentioned it, so.
We did try a couple times in the
It doesn't just
past.
confuse things?
And if it doesn't fall on the same night as what other communities are celebrating it, then we get kind of double dipped.
Yeah, okay. So it's easier to actually just.
We're not doing it on Halloween.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's actually easier to just leave it as is,
It'd be nice to
okay.
have it the same day every year, but it's just kind of weird not doing it on Halloween. Halloween is Halloween.
Anybody else have any thoughts? If not,
And like I said, if it.
you tried.
No, that's fine, yes, that was the voice that I heard from the
Okay.
village.
Okay,
That's completely fair.
okay,
Good.
all right.
Him at a certain time, Santa.
I just talked to Santa's elf, texted, and said, could I even do it like 5 or 7, or, do you know what I mean? Like, can you commit to me for that? So,
You got nothing back? I'm gonna crush it.
Well-
I think we can table that till
Yeah.
next meeting.
no, I don't have anything back from Santa's elf.
And you can take that discussion
Yeah.
outside the
I'll see
meeting.
what I can do.
Okay,
Not that I have pull, but I'll see what I can do.
okay. I think we handled that as well as we can, given the circumstances. So we'll move on then to under old business, item number 2, which is the marijuana ballot update.
Sewer study?
Did you want a sewer study?
Oh, my apologies, I skipped, I just went right over that. I really don't have anything. Jennifer, have you heard anything from, you had the meeting with Oxford.
I had a meeting with Roe along with Oxford regarding the sewers. What the meeting was is really just to go over and make sure, could we hook up with them, meaning like the sewer into their services that they already have? What would that look like? Kind of get an estimate from them, rough numbers. So now Roe is taking back those numbers that we acquired at that meeting, and they're going to put it into the study and kind of go from there. We've already decided or know that the best way for Leonard to move forward with the sewers is that for us to try and hook our sewers up to a local city system that's already in place. We don't have the manpower, the room, or anything else to really take care of our own sewer system. So if we can have that and, say, pump it to the next local city that can help us, that's what we're looking at right now, because it makes the most bang for what we need right now.
Is
So again,
Addison part of that too?
I'm sorry?
Is Addison part of that too?
No.
No.
No, Addison would not be part of that at this point. That would be one that our first step is to go talk to Oxford, which we did. Roe runs their numbers, then we'll look at that, and then we'll kind of go from there. And then the next step would be talking with Addison or anybody else we have to go through and run the pipeline through. So there's a lot of additional moving parts for this, so it's just gonna be very slow moving.
I was surprised to
Yes.
hear Oxford. Last I heard it was Oakland Township, which I don't even know if they have schools, but.
No, we'd have to run all the way down to Rochester. It'd be very, very expensive to run down Rochester Road. So Dryden has one. Dryden does not have the room for us. We've already approached them. So our next person that we can approach that actually has room for us is Oxford. So again, I mean, it's still being talked. It's just, this isn't something that's going to be a quick fix for everyone.
Okay. Really, that's where we are right now, so thank you.
Right, so right now, we just wait for Roe to compute their numbers, and then they'll give us something more to go and talk to us as the village council, and then take it to the next steps of talking with Addison and going forward. So more to come.
Okay, moving on to number 2, a quick, brief, hopefully, update. The council is aware, the public may not be, that the village approved language to place the marijuana ballot proposal that was provided to us
Petition.
by, pardon?
You might want to say that was due to a petition.
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
So just the people that were circulating the petition got enough signatures to get that proposal on the ballot. So we went through and rewrote the wording to provide the information we thought would make the most sense for the ballot, I think.
For the residents to be able to vote on.
Yeah, sorry not to.
Sorry, we wanted to give you a
No,
little
no,
background on why there's this on the ballot.
Basically, what we did, and what will at this point appear on the ballot, it's been challenged twice in the courts by Oakland Cares, which is a organization that represents the marijuana purveyors, I guess you could say. There is no public information about them. They are a private organization. We only know the attorneys that front for them with each of the communities. They're responsible for several proposals throughout Oakland County and the state. But the Village of Leonard's language that will appear on the ballot for this petition proposal is, the title would be, "This petition would require the Village of Leonard initiation of an ordinance to allow an adult-use recreational marijuana establishment. The Village of Leonard, as required by the authority of Section 6, subsection 1 of the Michigan Regulation and Taxation Marijuana Act," which we know as the Recreational Marijuana Act, of 2018, initiated law, Michigan Law 1, Michigan Compiled Laws 333.27951, forward the proposition to allow and regulate within the village limits the business operations of persons, businesses licensed by the state to operate marijuana establishment, and S, plural, in parentheses. This proposition would, 1, allow state licensed marijuana establishments to operate within the village in any zoning district, including residential zoning. Number 2, provide for an ordinance for regulation of recreational marijuana for the operation of an establishment within the village limits for growers, processors, retailers, transporters, and micro businesses, should this proposition be adopted. The village council was contacted by Oakland Cares after the passage of this language. We were sued in circuit court in Oakland County with the claims that the language was prejudicial and not truly representative of what they were trying to accomplish. The courts sided with the village and with Oakland County, who was also sued, and the judge dismissed the case. The Oakland Cares organization then went to the Court of Appeals and made an emergency appeal, asked that the language be set aside and that the village be either, they wanted relief from that language. And they really didn't care how they got it. It would either mean that we would be forced to change it, that Oakland County wouldn't be allowed to print ballots with that language, or some combination thereof. But when Oakland Cares Coalition then took the case to the Court of Appeals as an emergency appeal, and I'll just read the portion of the order that was granted by the Court of Appeals. Court orders that that the September 2nd, 2022 order denying the plaintiff's request for a writ of mandamus is affirmed. In other words, they said that the judge's dismissal of the case that was brought against the village and the county was dismissed. So the court said that stands. So to obtain a writ of mandamus, a plaintiff must show that the plaintiff has a clear legal right to the performance of the specific duty sought, and the defendant has a clear legal duty to perform the act requested, and that the act is ministerial, and that no other remedy exists that might achieve the same result. The judge found that the plaintiff did not have a clear legal right to have its preferred summary of its initiative appear on the ballot, and the defendant's village did not have a clear legal duty to substitute the plaintiff's untimely submitted ballot language in place of the language approved by the village council and certified to the county clerk. Furthermore, drafting and adopting appropriate ballot language involves exercise of discretion and judgment, and so cannot be considered a ministerial act which may be compelled by a writ of mandamus. So basically, and rather remarkably, the village prevailed in court 2 times, and it was actually, our attorneys considered it, because recreational marijuana is so new, only having been approved in 2018, that generally this Oakland Cares and similar organizations have been quite successful in kind of forcing their case on communities. So it doesn't mean that we're going to win, because this will go before the people. And the village council stands behind the language that we produced for our residents to read and make their decisions. So at this point, I have not heard that there's been any further appeals, which would be to the Supreme Court. Our attorneys don't think they will, because they really don't want to lose there. It would really hurt them statewide in their activities. So that was what was one of the suggested reasons why they wouldn't pursue it. We shall see. But meanwhile, the ballots have been printed by the Oakland County Clerk. So, or I should say, the ballot language has been sent for printing, and that's what we should see when we go to the polls in November. So with that, is there any comments or questions from the council or the public? If not, I'll move on then to the nature park planning update. Basically, I talked to Paul O'Meara, who is our representative from Rowe, and they provided us with a second estimate that was still far more. I don't know how I can be any more plain than to say, here's our budget. We need to make this project work within our budget, and they still come back and throw these higher numbers at us. So I would like to seek counsel from, or approach a couple other companies. We do have the money from the recreation grant from the Oakland County Parks and Recreation, and we have a duty, since we accepted the grant, to to perform. So I wanted the council to be aware that I will be reaching out. I have gotten no feedback from Paul O'Meara since, practically since before you met with Oxford about anything. I have not heard anything from him or from Roe, so I don't know.
He had asked me during that meeting, or after that meeting, about it, and I told him that he needed to reach out and speak to you about it.
I think they're so busy, and
I think they are. And I didn't want to say
we're just
anything
not
about price points. I figured that needed to come from you.
Yeah, they've got so much on their plate that I think we just kind of get shuffled down the line of importance, so.
So I hear contractor fees are added to that. That's what I'm hearing. If one company doesn't have time to do it, they'll take the job but hire another company to do it. So there might be some fluff in there. We found somebody who had time.
Right. We have to get it started. My understanding is that we have until August of next year to complete, but the contract indicates that December 31st, they want to know what and where that money is going to be spent.
Do we have to go with an engineering firm? Could we not just find a landscaping company to come in and just do it?
Yes, I believe we could.
Could we not ask like American Tree or United Landscaping or?
I would have
free trees.
I would have to check with Parks and Recreation to make sure that would be satisfactory, because we're asking for a plan, you know, like a map, much like we already have, but in far more detail. And we would still need, we could hire private surveyors, and we talked about it. It's more of, instead of doing it as a bundle, we could do it a la carte. We could have a surveyor come, stake the corners. We have contractors come and give us bids for fence, signage, whatever else we want to do. But we need that overall plan so that we can progress logically in the development of the park. So.
Do you know what you want to do back there?
No, part of our process includes a public hearing for that, so that we receive input, right? So anyway, okay, I will follow up on that and see if we can use a different contractor that may not be an engineering
So
firm.
I'm just thinking American Tree out of where they
Elmont?
Elmont right there. They do a lot of like larger stuff too.
Okay. Item number 4, property maintenance enforcement. That kind of goes back to 4285 Forest and the house on West Street and all that. I guess, does the council want me to actually go to the lengths of going to court to get these prosecuted? Because it will cost us more money doing that.
I guess the question would be, has anybody won against this homeowner?
Yeah, we've won.
We got it on the tax, you know, it's on the taxes.
Oh,
but-
for the 4285 it is.
But that's as far
any,
as we can go,
any
right?
further, we have to do it over again. That was the question the last time we discussed it.
I hate to see the boat anchor. It's awful. It looks like it's...
Yeah.
But the trees are probably growing inside. I'm sure the house is dead or dying. But at the same time, is it money wasted trying to catch these people who don't even exist? They're a pie in the sky.
Yeah, they have been totally non-responsive.
Could we take eminent domain over the property and say that we need it?
That's certainly an option. However, when we get into that, then you get into having to pay appraisers to come in and make, generally you need 3 appraisals of the property.
Would that be less expensive than taking them?
Well, appraisers are not cheap. We used them on a previous real estate transaction, and they don't come cheap, and there's no guarantee of success.
Are taxes paid on this?
My understanding is taxes are delinquent. I don't know if they're delinquent to the point where they're going to tax sale.
I don't think they are yet.
Yeah.
It takes probably 6 or 7 years before that even happens.
4 years.
4?
At least 4, yeah. Usually three
Okay, we're halfway there.
3 years of delinquency, and my understanding was during COVID that they had talked to the county, and the county had given them a payment plan. But I don't know if they're making payments or anything on that. Judy, maybe we could find out, if you wouldn't mind. But anyway, I just wanted to update on that. Usually I do that in the president's report, but I thought if you want to authorize me to kind of somewhat, push the red button and start legal proceedings, that I don't want to do that on my own.
I'd like to see how long it took for tax foreclosure. If it's money.
Boy, soon. I'm so
I know, if it's money.
Everybody, believe me.
Because it'll be costly for the village, and then you have this boat anchor now to get rid of.
Right.
So what house do we have on West Street?
Yeah, I'm not.
That's the one that used to be,
Is that blue house?
Mr. Terry's?
yeah, Mr. Terry's house. First it was Julius Terry, and then it was his son Robert was in there. And then they passed away, Robert passed away a few years ago.
Quite a few years ago.
Yeah. The house is,
4440?
it was a grow. It was used as a grow.
Oh, further down.
So that was the issue, not that it's, because from
Well-
what I tell, they mow the lawn.
No, we mowed the lawn last year
Oh, you did?
and the year before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And not enough, but we mowed it. And this past spring, there was garbage bags and stuff piled outside. And,
Yeah,
village notified them. And interestingly, the owner of that property signed the petition for the marijuana proposal. He's not a resident. He's not a resident, but he has a right, I guess. So
Now,
here we
that
go.
would be worth going after for money back.
Yeah, I mean,
That would be worth
it
because that's a-
complicates things.
But that's a person. There's a human being there to
Right.
answer.
So as far as I know, the property's unoccupied and unused at this point.
There was a guy there just the other
They're
day.
there occasionally.
He was
Yeah.
cleaning a bunch of stuff out and putting garbage out for the garbage people.
Yeah, that's what our letter told them to do, so,
Oh, that's the first time I ever saw anybody there.
yeah.
I see kind of occasionally.
Okay, moving on then, DPW update. We're probably gonna have to start getting some salt and stuff in, winter.
Oh, can
Have it?
the
Okay.
DPW, secure the benches
Secure them.
To the ground?
to the ground?
Oh, no, I did talk to Don about doing that.
Okay,
It's on my list to, when he's available, we'll get it done.
okay.
I might still have that cement bit. I might still have a cement bit for that.
Yeah, I'm using the 1/2-inch anchors this time, so it's bigger than the ones that were in there.
So hopefully people were moving the benches
Oh, yeah,
Taking them out, taking
For-
bolts off and moving them.
and moving them.
for a variety of reasons.
All the benches or?
No, just a
Couple of
couple specific ones.
For the DPW, do we have any maintenance or anything that we need to plan on additionally for salt other than what I'd say is consumable? Anything in preparation?
No, we have, the tractor and the truck are both, everything seems to be operating normally. Those are the major players for us. So, Don's usually very good about keeping up with that stuff, so.
I do have a question. I know I missed a meeting, but did we contract with Oakland County to coat patch?
No. To purchase it or for them to do it?
Do it.
Sometimes they'll do it.
I know. I saw,
Enough said?
I was just curious.
Okay.
And then did we ever get anywhere further with the contracting with the Water Resource Commission?
Oh, yeah, that's on my president's report,
Oh, okay. We'll just skip that.
which is up now.
Sure.
We did have 3 FOIA requests, 2 of them related to our registered voters list, and one of them was related to the marijuana proposal petition and ordinance. Those have been satisfied. We received no block grant applications for assistance from our residents. Ordinance enforcement, we kind of covered that already with property maintenance subject. Drain maintenance. County Water Resources Commission is scheduled to contact me this week to come out and start doing the catch basin and underground drain cleaning.
By the school?
Pardon?
By the school?
Well, the school is one of the places. We were also looking at, I met with the water resources engineer, manager, and a contractor because of the situation at Cooper Standard where the Leonard drain goes underneath the building. They are looking at, it's causing quite a few problems. They've had a lot of sinkage on the east side of their facility. The ground is dropping, which is probably due to the old clay tiles cracking, and so that water and dirt run into the pipe easier, and the Water Resources Commission is floating the idea of changing that drain to the outside of the building, but it's all about money and time. So yeah, hopefully I should hear from them this week.
Pond going again too, just so you know.
I can't hear you.
You have a pond going again in the normal spot that I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
Why does it do that? Is the drain getting
The village is served by some really old drain tiles.
No, I know that.
And I think they've just broken or collapsed.
Okay, I thought maybe it was just getting clogged up because some of them
No. We tried, what was it, this spring or last fall? This spring, I think I was out there, we hired a private contractor to come out and jet those, and we tried to jet everywhere we could, and with no success down there. We were successful in a couple other places, but not there, so. All right, the steel poles have been ordered for the radar sign installation at a cost of $700. So I've called the original guy that got them for the township here, and they were more expensive now than they were 2 years ago, but but we've got them anyways. So okay, and the plumbing repairs are complete for the annex and Roland Hall, except the electrical needs to be hooked up to the items. So I was going to speak to our electrical inspector, but I understand he's in.
No,
Is he okay now? Okay. So maybe we could ask him about that, Judy? And that will set us up for next year. Well, as far as the annex goes, there's a new toilet and new sink hardware, and it will have hot water, which should satisfy Oakland County Health about the Strawberry Festival safety and health concerns. So should make it a lot easier in the future. Okay, trustee committee reports. Summer Festival Committee, Lori, Judy, and I have requested minutes and financials from them several times. They are beginning to some reports are trickling in. We received most of the minutes from 2022. We haven't received any financial information at all. So I did provide my phone number to them so that if their treasurer has any questions, I would be available, but I have not heard from...
Just a note on that as to why each committee for the village has to turn minutes into the village. It's an insurance issue. If something happens while you are conducting anything through the village name, if it's not in the minutes that it's been okayed by council, they won't cover it. So it's an insurance thing more than it is anything else.
And if people are donating money to the village, so to speak, for a purpose, we have to account for that. And those people, if they're a business or it's a write-off for them because the village is tax exempt and they can take that as a donation, we have to be aware of it. So if the money is going only to the committee and not to the village, then that's a problem in and of itself as well. But we're working to straighten it out. So they have been communicating, but it's taking some time. Okay, Cable Commission. John, anything?
Pretty much what Terry covered. She mentioned like more of like financial stuff during the meeting. I guess all their finances were in their pool, and it looked like basically there was this huge amount of numbers. Well, it was because during COVID they were low staffed, so they didn't have a full-time employees and all that. So that's why that number is bigger. And I guess some people are kind of freaking out about it. So.
Okay, good to know. Okay, decorating committee, anything else, Jennifer?
Nope, we're meeting September 30th at 4 o'clock down here to decorate for the fall. And that's it. We've already talked about everything else.
Okay. North Oakland Transportation Authority. It doesn't look like they're going to accomplish their pavement, parking, pavement repaving and additional paving, as well as the installation of a gasoline service for the vehicles due to delays in the Planning Commission at Oxford Village. We've been very responsive and provided them with everything they've asked for. Their wheels turn at a certain rate, and I think we'll get closed out by the weather before we can get it all set up. But other than that, everything looks good. The millage, as everybody knows, it passed. And you may have heard about Oakland County now has placed a transportation millage on the ballot. NODA has taken a neutral position. In other words, they would be an integral part of that transportation plan, but only 30% of the money taken in by that millage, if it passes, will be used for northern Oakland County. The rest of the money will go to the SMART system that's already in play. SMART has said it would like to increase service area, but most of the communities that are not served by SMART now opted not to be served because of poor service or no service, which is exactly what we've been offered in the past, is they just don't serve our areas. So NODA is still the best thing going. There is a new organization on the west side, WODA, West Oakland Transportation Authority, that we're communicating with. But you're going to hear a lot of rumors about our millage, the NODA millage, and the transportation millage. If the transportation millage for Oakland County passes, there would be no need for the NODA communities to levy a millage any longer, as long as Oakland County pays for our services. But we're not, our board's plan is not to double dip people and say, okay, you're paying for transportation in Oakland County and we're still going to levy our quarter mil. That's not the plan, if it passes. Most of the northern communities are against the millage, just so you know. Addison, possibly Oakland, Oxford, Orion. It doesn't do anything for us. It might give us, if it lets us operate our own system, that's one thing. But to expect that SMART will come out here and start serving us is not realistic.
Consistently and reliably. And
yeah, it's just not realistic.
At a rate that would make sense for anybody who actually had to take it.
So I've talked enough about that, and hopefully you have a little more information, understanding. Planning Commission, I've asked to speak with the Planning Commission this month at their September meeting, just to discuss how the proposed ballot initiative, if it passes for marijuana, how it would affect our zoning potentially, and make them aware of that it's something they should be aware of before this happens. So there will be a meeting. Thank you, Leslie. Pollyant Trail, well, it's that time of year, we're starting to wrap things up. Nothing major going on. We had a great event for the 25th anniversary. We had good attendance. I think everybody had a good time, and it was a beautiful day. So, Village Park, I don't think we have anything scheduled for that at this time. I'll have to let you know if anything comes up. And did we receive a block grant report?
No, I questioned them too, and they're putting in a new system that hasn't been operating the way they would like it to, so there's no reports right now.
Okay, that's all I have for the council. Is there anything council members have besides a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to second that.
Right, 8:19. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming, for your attendance.